Good morning. Glad to bring you on the discussion segment of Good Morning Anambra this Friday edition, the 28th day of June 2024. And this morning we shall be talking about the incessant strikes in Nigerian universities. I'm sure if you know, if you have a child, a ward, a friend in school, you will know that over the years we've been having successive strikes over the years. Even since the creation of ASU, that should be in 1988, we've been having strikes. I think we've had over 23 strikes in the past regimes, both from the military era down to the civilian era. With me in the studio today, we shall be talking about the reasons why these strikes do occur, who are the major players, who are those stumbling blocks that are making our students not to graduate at record time. My name is Ajulichuku Okabwe, and in the studio this morning, I have with me Comrade Kingsley Uboji, who happens to be the ASU chairperson, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Good morning, sir. Glad to have you.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Anambrarians, and good morning, our beautiful and wonderful students.
Thank you to have you here. Quickly, let's go to the next person. We have Dr. Gideon Izu, HOD, Banking and Finance, Department of Investment, Secretary, ASU, NAIU. Glad to have you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Nigerians. Thank you very much, Anambrarians, USC students, and Nigerian students.
Well, I think we have the right panel to really discuss on this issue regarding our students, the future of Nigeria, because sincerely speaking, we all are graduates and we know what it entails to be in the schools, in the universities in Nigeria, because the university is where you're being prepared with a certificate and character to function in a society. But then you begin to ask questions. The federal government and ASU, when we talk about Academic Staff Union of Universities, what is actually the problem from the onset of the creation of this body? Let me begin with you, Comrade Kingsley.
Yeah, thank you, my good friend, and thank you, our audience, for being part of this exercise. Let me talk about marriage from this perspective.
Please do.
When a man wants to get married, you take your time to make choice of the woman you want to marry. Of course, you may have met so many women and they would not accept your proposal. Finally, somebody accepts your proposal, and this acceptance is on a terms and conditions. Now, when you get married, because you're already married to this woman, you start mistreating her, you stop taking care of her, you stop doing the necessary things.
The agreement you guys had before marriage ensued.
Exactly. And once these things are not met up, you don't expect the woman to be happy. Naturally, the woman will start misbehaving. Yeah, so many may have the discipline, the tenacity to hold on. But for how long? That's why the scripture says, when the staff of the wicked rest upon the land, even the righteous will do evil. So in the university today, so many lecturers, even the good ones, are beginning to deviate because the condition of the marriage is being bastardized.
Okay,
that's
now
the problem.
Okay, now talking about incessant strikes in our universities. Sincerely speaking, it is very, very important, you understand, to actually know where do we drive this to, you understand, where do we take this? Do we actually put the blame solely on the ASU, or do we put the blame solely on what is it called, the lecturers, as the case, the federal government this time around? So now, since Comrade Kingsley has already told us about the union between the federal government and then ASU, as the case would be, you as a university lecturer, and I'm sure you went to university before you became a lecturer, and I'm sure you experienced strike one way or the other. In your own opinion, being the fact that you've been a student and now you're a lecturer, what can you say? In your own opinion, how do we manage this issue of ending strike in Nigeria? What do you think, in your own opinion, the federal government and ASU can do in order to see to an end to these incessant strikes in Nigeria? Okay,
the analogy you just presented, the issue of being a former student and now a lecturer.
Yeah.
I remember some of our leaders, before they found themselves in that position of authority, they continue criticizing government and saying all manner of things. When they later mount the saddle of leadership, they start telling Nigerians, we don't know that this thing is like this. We don't know. We are surprised that a lot of things are not going as planned. So as students, you don't even understand what is going on. Our own is that, why this lecturer always go on strike? What is happening? Now that I'm a lecturer, I'm now understood, and I'm still aware and abreast of what is happening to lecturers. What kind of intellectuals here? Somebody said that the level of education of a particular country determines the level of development in that country. So if you refuse to educate your citizens, the level of development will continue to decrease, to go down. And that's why in Asian countries, in Western countries, they don't joke with education, they joke with lecturers, with teachers, they don't joke with them, because we have three different layers of training people. You have their family, you have the religious society, and then you have the school. These are the three institutions that can mold an individual. Therefore, you don't joke with them. Whereby lecturers are relegated to the background, nobody cares about their well-being, and these are people that try as much as possible to train the younger ones who will take over the mantle of leadership in this country, and treat them with levity. So that's the issue. Somebody said agreement is agreement. When you renege in the agreement, what will happen? There will be injustice. There will be dissatisfaction. A lot of people will start, looking for different ways to make up, and it will not be good to our economy and to the development of this country.
Okay, thank you so much. Comrade Kingsley, let me ask you this question. Could it be a case of we've had successive governments and we've had strikes right from 1988 when ASU was created? Could it be that most government that comes in hasn't tried to do this shift blame? I'm not the person that inherited this thing, so why should it be me that will put an end to it? And then they just believe because they are tenured, you understand, they will allow their tenure swept by and give piecemeal service to what ASU demands, and then shift it next to the next administration. In my own opinion, don't you think ASU needs to make one final stand and say, give us this, even if we shut down the entire system for no matter how long it goes? Don't you think that will yield positive results in ending this? Or if there's any other way you feel that ASU can actually get the government to end these incessant strikes?
Thank you so much. The truth is that ASU members are human beings. Two, they are Nigerians. And so many times we say, let Nigeria know do you. Nigeria has become a name with which people make joke. And sometimes there are things, especially what my colleague said. Somebody is criticizing today, and tomorrow he takes up the mantle of leadership, and he becomes worse. So it's something one cannot change by a magic wand, and it's not an issue of something caused by former leadership. If our leaders mean well, and I mean if our leaders mean well, I'm saying it 3 times because today I'm ASU chairperson, and we can ask within the university what we are doing. Leadership is meant to drive development anywhere. So if anybody is not prepared for leadership, there are dynamics of leadership where you have people who are sabotaging your effort, standing against your good moves. But the truth is that if you mean well, naturally you will surmount all this. But if you have some skeleton in your cupboard, like we've had leaders in this country who we know have the capacity to change things. But because they are corrupt, we may not start mentioning names. But corruption is such that you take more than is due for you. Yeah, you want to settle, because if you don't settle, maybe the National Assembly, whether green or red chamber, in the dynamics of power, they can impeach you. So in the bid to settle them, of course, the person that is settling will settle himself. I can't be settling you without settling myself. So those illegalities, once advanced, you don't have the moral conscience, you have a moral burden, and you can't correct some things. That is basically our problem. And if we can correct it in this nation by standing firm, not planning for second tenure, because that's our problem. Somebody is planning for second tenure, and in the bid to ensure that second tenure comes, you compromise, you commit a lot of evil, you commit a lot of crime, and that keeps propagating this evil. ASU's demand is very simple.
I know part of your demands are autonomy, part of that is equality in distribution of payment and the rest of it all. Exactly. So when all of this thing is met, are you telling me that strike ends in this country?
Obviously. For instance, if the federal government had agreed to implement Nimi Briggs' document, strike would have been a thing.
Can you share part of? Can you share part of the content of that? Briggs?
Before Nimi Briggs, there is a committee His Excellency Peter Obi was part of, when the federal government said, let us find out what the problem with education is. And at the end of the day, they saw dilapidation and all that and said, if the federal government can raise 3 or 6 trillion, that educational problem will be over. Now, they said they will be paying 200 billion every year. And within 6 years, they will liquidate it.
That's to all federal universities in Nigeria.
To all federal universities. That 1.6 trillion or 1.2 trillion is designed so that every year they pay 200 billion. And
are you going to tell me that?
Not to ask you.
Okay.
They're not paying the money to us.
This money don't come. The problem is that people think the money comes to us. No, it goes to the vice chancellor. But the worst of it all, like if you watch one of our agreements, we talk about the report, the visitation panel report.
Yeah.
When the federal government sends people to the university, they come and discover a lot of misappropriation of funds, a lot of embezzlement, a lot of evil.
That is carried out by the school authorities.
No, this federal government sends them. They come and see that the university has not kept, because you know what we Procurement Act gave the vice chancellor power over the resources of the university. Even the pro chancellor is subject to the vice chancellor. Now, because he has control over the money, he can sort anybody, he can lobby anybody, he can bribe anybody, he can have his way. That is why
to the detriment of even the university, and the fight ASU is even.
That's why vice chancellors fight the union. It is when the National Assembly started asking for bribe to approve their budget. That was when vice chancellors started coming to ASU. So we are idiots helping them to fight their struggle. Whenever ASU go on strike and money come, it goes to the vice chancellors, the university administration. TED fund comes, they manage the TED fund, not ASU. If this money is controlled by ASU, we wouldn't be having problem. But because it goes to the vice chancellors, they misappropriate it. Because that's why we are saying, let federal government let them implement the content of the visitation panel. Because the visitation panel will show that there's misappropriation.
And then what happens after the misappropriation?
The truth is that there must be somebody at the federal colluding with the vice chancellor to embezzle the money. The way Nigeria is so corrupt is such that no one man eats alone. They send down 400 billion, or they send down, let me say, 1 billion. This 1 billion is divided into 3. Possibly Abuja takes 1. The vice chancellor and his administration takes the other. The other one is now used to run the university. And of course, you know contracts are inflated. If this phone is 10 naira, they will buy it for 30 naira. Times 3 of the price. That's what it is in Nigeria. That's why people are now talking about the road being that is awarded. They are comparing it with another road awarded outside Nigeria. You see the distance and you see the amount. It's crazy. And these people, if you remember recently, monies were buried and decayed. Why are we sick in this country?
Well, now we are talking about universities. From what you just said now, that means actually federal government is not really the problem. Even if the monies were meant to be released to schools,
federal government is the problem.
Probably,
the leadership is the problem in this country.
Okay, leadership might be the problem. Now you're talking about mismanagement of funds. Who
holds the vice chancellor
somebody money
responsible
to carry out activities?
I give my wife money.
You do not try as much as possible to monitor what is going on.
Then you're culpable.
I gave you money to go to a cock and buy something. I didn't ask any question about it. You just misuse the money. I said it's okay. It's very wrong. I should monitor what I gave you.
The federal government is the problem.
Well, now
not even the vice chancellor.
And now that you're talking about, now can you please explain to us the ASU, the union, who are the umbrella bodies, the other bodies that give ASU the strength in order to get, when I say audience with the federal government, people that constitute this ASU body?
Let me shock you. The federal government have an agenda, and the agenda is to privatize public universities. And the moment they succeed, we're in trouble.
Wow.
That if you watch, nobody except the very poor people sends their children to public secondary school or public primary school. Because quality is gone. Okay. Things are decayed. So that's the same thing they are working with in the direction of the university. That's why they are floating so many private universities. And they are now using the proceeds from our struggle, that is state fund, to build private universities. And once private universities start thriving and they don't go on strike, because they can pay people stipend, parents will start moving their children to private schools. And once that happens, public schools, universities will die. That's the agenda. And the public should know, when it happens, who suffers? It is the poor masses. Because the average person and the bourgeois can always afford anything. The cost of fuel today, who is suffering it? It is you and I that enter public transport.
And that's because of the in secondary school now and primary schools. Most of our children are now in private schools.
Well, at this point, let us go for a short break, and definitely we'll come back and then continue from where we are discussing, because it is really getting really heated here, and sincerely speaking, we need a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Great news for Anambra Broadcasting Service ABS audience. You can now watch ABS television through any of these ways.
Buy a terrestrial antenna and connect to your television. Search ABS Channel 24 Oka or ABS Channel 27 Onitsha. Install StarTimes cable decoder and search ABS Channel 113. Install Metro Digital cable decoder and search ABS Channel 29.
Watch ABS TV on your smart TV or smartphone by downloading Anambra Broadcasting Service app on Google Play Store. Also watch via ABS Facebook page at ABS Radio Television and ABS YouTube page at ABS Television Oka.
ABS TV is now also on satellite. You can watch us from anywhere in Nigeria and other African countries. Simply install our TV decoder brand and tune to channel 315, or install any free-to-air satellite decoder and search for ABS TV.
Whichever option you choose, stay abreast of breaking news, documentaries, children's shows, talk shows, comedy, sports, movies, and lots more on your darling TV station.
For adverts and program sponsorship, contact 0803 388 8526 or 0806 883 9902. ABS, Heartbeat of the East.
Great news for Anambra Broadcasting Service ABS audience. You can now watch ABS television through any of these ways.
Buy a terrestrial antenna and connect to your television. Search ABS Channel 24 Oka or ABS Channel 27 Onitsha. Install StarTimes cable decoder and search ABS Channel 113. Install Metro Digital cable decoder and search ABS Channel 29.
Watch ABS TV on your smart TV or smartphone by downloading Anambra Broadcasting Service app on Google Play Store. Also watch via ABS Facebook page at ABS ABS Radio Television and ABS YouTube page at ABS Television Orca.
ABS TV is now also on satellite. You can watch us from anywhere in Nigeria and other African countries. Simply install our TV decoder brand and tune to channel 315, or install any free-to-air satellite decoder and search for ABS TV.
Whichever option you choose, stay abreast of breaking news, documentaries, children's shows, talk shows, comedy, sports, movies, and lots more on your darling TV station.
For adverts and program sponsorship, contact 0803 388 8526 or 0806 883 9902. ABS, Heartbeat of the East.
Morning, Anambra section this lovely Friday. Well, we are still talking about the incessant strikes in Nigerian varsities. And joining us after the break was Dr. Amaka Mitu, HOD Economics Department and FinSec ASU of Nigeria and Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Dr. Amaka Mitu, glad to have you with us this lovely morning. And yeah, before you came in, we were talking about the incessant strike in Nigeria varsities. Who to blame, the federal government or ASU? I would have even loved a situation where probably we would have had maybe student union, will I say SUG president or a student union leader to be here to talk about. Let's hear from the angle of the students too.
We can arrange that.
Yeah, because sincerely speaking, I remember when I was in university and then there was this strike we had, and my dad was wondering, he said, if he was telling me and my brothers, as in if we had two of you in Aso Rock, the Nigerian government will have collapsed because of the food the food we were taking, you understand? So that's actually what parents actually faced. Just imagine the 8 months we went under the last administration, the toll it took on parents, and then even the students, some of them had to even deviate away from academics, and lives were even lost in the process. And now, Dr. Amaka Mitu, as a student, once a student and now HOD a lecturer, what do you think Nigerian students, you understand, when would Nigerian students see an end to this incessant strike?
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My presenter. My name is, just as introduced, is Comrade Amaka Mitu.
Oh, Comrade, sorry for that.
Yes, in this situation we use Comrade, the HOD and the Financial Secretary ASU Nayu. Now coming to your question. Well, you said when the students can see an end
to this strike, yeah.
Well, I don't know when it will come to an end. We are only looking up to the government. Once they do what they are supposed to do, it will come to an end. It's not an impossible task. It is just that the leaders have refused to do what they ought to do. We're not asking for too much. We have a list of all the agreements right from 2009 till date. We reached Memorandum of Understanding and Memorandum of Action, and we believed that things were going to be done right. We're only asking for the government to do the right thing, and we hope they will do so. And once it is done, we have an end to it.
Well, we all hope, because sincerely speaking, very soon I think we'll be having kids in the university, and I wouldn't want the circle of I experienced strike and then my children are now talking about strike.
Yes, we are not enjoying it. Nobody's in. We also have our children in the university, and we also pay. So we are not finding it easy.
Nobody's finding it.
But the only thing is that we're asking is that the government should just look at the university system so that it doesn't collapse like the way the primary and the secondary education has just done.
Can I just interject?
No, you can interject after which I will ask you the next question.
I was trying to ask, what is the budget the National Assembly has for themselves compared to what they have? What is their number compared to what they have for the whole Nigerian youth who go to school?
I think that of the federal government, the National Assembly should be more. Yeah.
It's not easy. It is more.
It is more. And now,
and it's so unfortunate.
It's so unfortunate on two aspects, because one aspect is, if you're talking about global standardization, talking about education, United Nations made it possible that every state or rather every nation that is thinking about development should at least invest 26%.
Exactly.
26% of their budget channeled to education. Now, it will behoove the education ministry, the schools, the university. We're talking about education in this time, not just talking about ASU.
Exactly.
We're talking about from primary
to,
you understand? So 26%. But unfortunately, the government of this day, you understand, doesn't seem to do that. But now, the general question on every Nigerian is that since we are talking about democracy, each administration that comes in is being ushered in by professors, VCs, because they are the collation, what will I say, officers. They give the returning officer. They give the final verdict after election. So do you, Nigerians will not ask.
Sorry, not to cut you short. In as much as the professors are the returning officers,
yes.
Remember they are not the ones at the field.
I know they are not.
They collect what they were.
But an average Nigerian will say they are part of the problem because you people are the one announcing the results.
You don't expect us to change what we're giving from the local governments, from the people at the polling.
Let me land. Let me land.
Defend ourselves.
No, let me land. Now, in the minds of Nigerians, because in this advent of social media, Nigerians are more liberated, and they are beginning to get to the root cause of most of their problems.
Exactly.
And they say that some of these lecturers are even compromised in the process. Some of these lecturers are compromised in even giving out the results. Now, if you want to stand with your oppressor, can't you tell your oppressor that, sorry, you've not been able to meet our demands when it has to do with strike and the betterment of universities? Then why will you call us to come and announce results on election dates? You understand? We can jettison the idea and say, we are not doing that until you meet our demands. Can that happen?
Yeah, two things very quickly. One is the hunger, what do you call it? Hunger weapon.
Okay, weaponized poverty.
Yes. Is one of the weapons that the government is using. Keep them poor so that they compromise. Number two is that we are Nigerians too. We are not all saints. And that is the two factors you will consider. But what is important, you refer back to when Jega was the INEC chairman. He requested that us to provide lists. Not vice chancellors.
Yes.
Because vice chancellors are appointees of government. Vice chancellors are politicians. To become a vice chancellor, you will sort your way through. You keep going from one politician to another. And every politician must be sure that the vice chancellor is the one in their pocket. I can say that confidently because even presently, UNIZIC is going into having a new vice chancellor. And I know what the Minister of Education has been doing. Because we get feedback from the union aspect. So they are a compromised bunch of people. That's the problem we have, Nigerians. The problem is, for you to become a vice chancellor, you must go what we call Jojo. You must go from one politician to another. And this compromises the elections. Because presently, all the politicians in Anambra is in Abuja to ensure that who becomes the next vice chancellor in UNIZIC must be somebody in their pocket. And you know the hunger weapon.
Yeah.
Each and most, not all, most of them would want to do that to the detriment of the poor masses. That is why during election, during Jega's time, Jega requested us to bring the list. Subsequently, any lecturer that is going on election is going on his own, not under ASU. If the federal government would ask me, or the governor of Anambra State would ask me to give him names of people who will go for election in Anambra State, I know our comrades who will not compromise. That's the truth. So federal government, each time you hear me say federal government is the problem, the leadership is the problem, because it is a leadership, being the leader, he wants to come a second term. He will not want it to be compromised. As a result, he sorts his way through. The way students sort courses.
Yeah.
They sort their way. They pay heavily. That's why every politician is saving money for election. And it's madness for our country, Nigeria.
Well, actually, it is madness for our country, Nigeria. And lovely enough, we're talking about incessant strike in our universities, and then we're talking about the youth, the future of this country. From the last demography of this country, based on the elections and then the figures and data INEC gave to us, we saw that Nigeria is burgeoning with youth. When I mean youth, as in more than
vibrant youth,
more than 65% of our total population is our youth. And if we have this kind of issues of incessant strike, poor funding of our universities, definitely what we will be turning out to be compromised graduates.
Exactly.
You understand?
That are unemployable.
Unemployable, that can't even stand with the world standard.
God bless you.
And now, good enough, the federal government is now talking about how to get this issue solved. Vocation is now the way to go in Nigeria, because most times you see people with even certificate masters are teaching in private schools with earning 30,000 naira. Now, what is the university environment? You are HOD, you're in the university, you're ASU. What your organization is doing in order to channel effort into creating vocation? Because that is what is sustaining most of these Asian tiger countries, the Malaysia, the Singapore, the China, Taiwan, and the rest of it all. It is vocation that they are using to thrive. Are you guys not looking towards that in your documentation with federal government to see if we can increase funding in vocational studies in our universities?
Nigeria is a funny country. When you bring such ideas and they are beautiful, people use it to siphon the country. We have a lot of career and all those. But go and look at it. When government packages a program, it is for the rich, not for the poor. IDP camp, do we tell you what happened in IDP camp? That's why I asked who got involved. You go to IDP camp to deliver items. You see gates, people you will go through. IDP camps in the north. You know how who got involved. So the monies we insist we will deliver it ourselves. Because once you give it, the politicians and the people manning it will go and sell it in town. This country needs deliverance.
From us.
To add to what he has said, there are so many programs that are coming up in the universities. All these are efforts to make sure that the students are channeled towards vocations and entrepreneurship, not just about the certificate. Yes, you get the certificate, which is a prerequisite, but you still have that added advantage. If you take that opportunity, it's open. Like in UNIZIC, we have the Entrepreneurship Center where the students can learn some things with their hands while they're also doing their studies. So that by the time you leave the environment, you don't just carry your files looking for job. But rather you create the job yourself. So these things are being done. And then the ones, just like my chairman said, the ones being provided by the government, you can see how they have all gone into oblivion. The youth programs, the UWIN, the N-Power, these are all things that government, they try to use it. Politicians, they create that opportunity and use it to siphon money. Well, I wouldn't want to go into that, but the statistics is there. The amount of money that is being released, and then how is this money being utilized? That is another thing. So we are creating the opportunities, but the government, that's why we are asking the government, please give us more money. Pump in more money into the universities, so that not just teaching, you can practicalize whatever that is being taught.
My certificate bore the fact that
somebody that is going into, you're going to be a microbiologist, you don't have the test tube, you don't have the materials.
Probably maybe the practical things that you need to do.
You are using stove as Bunsen burner. I mean, it doesn't stay good of the environment. And our hands are tied. We just have to do with what we have. But if they can do the right thing, get this money into the university system, because they said that when you develop an individual, you develop a nation.
Yeah, very correct.
And that's what we are asking. That's what ASU is asking.
What is more important is not just sending the money. It is implementing the visitation panel report. You know why I'm insisting on this? There are monies. Even why government is not sending more money is that they know these monies are being siphoned. But who checks the siphoning? It is the same government. You understand the problem?
Yeah.
ASU will say this is what we need. Government sends something. Somebody embezzles it with government too. That's just like they are talking about students.
The visitation panel comes, makes the recommendation, and then
and gets settled.
And so, it is not implemented. So
Hydra-headed.
So there was a statistics I saw. That's about 2 years ago that Nigeria spends over $5 billion on education outside the shores of Nigeria, and the map. Most of that money went to Asia. Nigerians go as far as even studying our neighboring countries, Togo, Ghana, Benin Republic, and the rest of this. And you begin to wonder, if we are spending $5 billion over a period of 2 years, $5 billion over a period of 2 years, what does ASU actually need in order to even get our universities working and then make our certificates too standardized? Because apart from even getting this money injected into ASU, most times when people travel out of these countries...
Not injected into ASU, sorry.
I mean injected into the universities, sorry. And most times when we travel out of the country, they don't even value our certificates. That's why we see Nigerians going out to get premium certificate, like they say, in all these foreign lands. Apart from this now, if the injection of money into university, will that make our certificates more standardized as required in the international, let's say, economies? Because Nigerians do subject themselves to extra schooling, extra teaching, professional exams. They will still sit, but their Ghanaian counterparts or Botswana counterparts or even South African counterparts don't get to sit for such exams. Could it be because of this issue we are having with our education in Nigeria? What's your take on that, Comrade Kingsley?
I think going so many times is varied. It's a myriad of things. Sometimes it could be this, sometimes it could be that. People go out. There are universities out there that you go for 1 year and you get your degree. Why would you spend 4 years in Nigeria? Some go. So it's not strictly for quality. Some go to get it quick and come back and continue in the crime. That's why each time I look at Nigeria, I see a sick country. And you know, I have been holding back. There are two leaders we believe that could have changed Nigeria. His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo. He has the capacity. I don't know why he failed.
Was 8 years not enough?
I'm only saying when he was the president, his background, he did well, he did much. But his background is enough to do so much more than he did. The other person we are thinking could do magic with his experience. There are experience can come from is the present president. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, how he said he made Buhari president, that it is his turn, and he became president. And how he's shows he has the capacity. Good or bad, what is important, he has the capacity to do the needful. Yes. And if he's not able to do it, then I think...
we heard that from the minister, Maman, saying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will look into the case of ASU strike and see what they can do. Actually, the student loan is part of...
that's a terrible... I don't want to talk about it.
What happened to the one that was
that one? Let them
started initially. Please,
that loan is the same agenda to loot.
That is it.
If you read the condition to obtain the loan, you see nobody can get it.
You can't.
So it is a way to amass money. It's
by
just
politicians.
Like you read recently. Remember, the president came and said no more to fuel subsidy.
Yeah.
Last year,
inauguration,
we were told we spent 3.something trillion, right? And this year we are spending 5.something trillion. The same thing he announced on his inauguration that has ended. That's Nigeria for you. So when they mean well, we know they mean well. They don't mean well.
Because it will now be actions put into words. Quickly, let's talk about this thing. We talk about infrastructure in our universities. And then another issue is cultism in our universities. Could it be as a result of the fact that these children are no longer getting the desired attention when it has to do with academics because of these incessant strikes, and then exam malpractices, lecturers demanding certain money, sex for grades, and all what, as in the university system is now becoming like a market square, unlike what it used to be obtainable in school. What could you say could be responsible for the dilapidation when we talk about our children coming out with good grades and moral, just like the university system is meant to make one upright in the society?
Well, thank you very much. You started with the issue of cultism.
Yeah.
Well, cultism is not only in the university system. You look at our moral decadence, the society in general. Because if you look at those people who are involved in this cultism, it's just a minute percentage. But the issue is not about whether it is about the facilities in the university or not. It's about the society entirely. Parents are no more doing what they're supposed to do. They leave the children, and they go about training themselves. And then because of, just like my chair said, this poverty issue, everybody, because I knew when we were growing up, our mothers used to be teachers. When you're going to school, you go with your children. When you're coming back, you come back with them, and then you're there to teach them. But now, you see a child of 2 years, he or she is in school for from morning till 6. You have only maybe 2 hours to stay. What do you learn from the parents? So with these things, they come back into the university. And then, how many hours do we stay with them? So those things they learn from the states, like they bring it into the university. And so it seems as if the university is not doing enough. Fine, there is a lot of issues in the university, but it is not as a result of the strike. The strike could also have an effect, but it is not the major thing. The issue is that the government has refused to encourage these people that are supposed to give this moral in the university. And once you are not encouraged, you don't give your best. You cannot give your best. Even if as you are working in ABS now, and you are not motivated, you cannot give your best.
That's human nature.
Yes, that's human nature. So these things are what we bring from the society that comes back to play out into the university environment. So, and that's why we continue to ask the government to do the right thing. Pump money into the education. Watch how this money is being spent, so that we can train these students both in morals, because certificate is given. Yes, character and learning. Character and learning, and then you see these children coming out better human beings that will transform their environment where they are going back into.
Thank you so much. While we are wrapping up, quickly, comrade, what do you think Nigeria government can do in order to probably, reduce to the barest minimum? Because I don't see Nigerian government, in my own opinion, based on the myriad of corruption cases and then the kind of misfit leaders we have in the aims of affairs. I'm not ashamed to say that, but that's the reality of the day. What do you think we can do in order to bring this to the barest minimum, so that we can have some sense of pride when we say we are university undergraduates, or that we are from Nigeria?
In the past, policemen or security personnel, let me use it, are very decent people who is to protect the nation. Today, some, not all, few are committing crimes. I came back from Lagos yesterday and I saw where they arrested soldiers. But I'm sure they are not soldiers. They are on fake uniform. To cut this to the barest minimum, let every group protect their interest. And for me, even at the ASU level, we are beginning to talk about what we are discussing with government, such that we will have powers. You know, ASU is the peer pressure group.
Yeah.
The power is with the vice chancellor. All we can do is to make a recommendation to him, and it is his choice to implement or not. But if the power comes to us,
which is the body that interfaces, you understand, with the government to get these monies into the school, I think you guys will be in a better position to even appropriate the usage of such money when it comes around.
We are beginning to do that. Some of these things are coming in. All we are asking the government is, one, let's look in that direction. And number two, everybody that commits a crime should face the consequence.
Is there a disciplinary committee
within the university?
Yeah, within the university with ASU members part of it, because that's the only way you can begin to checkmate.
That's why I said it is the onus lies on the vice chancellor to choose who becomes what. And politics is not that you choose those who are sycophants most often.
Not for the interest of all.
Not, you just said we have misfits all over. So it's the same thing everywhere. So this misfit would now advance the agenda of the boss. Because now in the Igbo palace, and that is what we see everywhere. It is always believed everybody is a psychopath, but it's not true.
It's not true.
There are people who still speak the truth, who still say it objectively without being biased. So let government hold people responsible. Not those, these are our party members, we leave them. These are opposition party, we deal with them. This one is supporting us, let's leave them. This one is against them. No, just like abroad, these crimes are committed all over the world. But when the institution is stronger than individuals, the nation move forward. Let His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu push in that direction, that institutions will be stronger than individuals. And we now have a country.
Moreover, when they are making these appointments or whatever, they should look at competence, not party affiliations. Not party affiliations. Even if you're going to look at party affiliations, there are still people who are competent within that party. Yes. Exactly. What stops you from picking those people? Like, just like my said, during Obasanjo, if you look at the people that were heading some of the ministers, and you see the competence. And that was why he was able to achieve as much as he could achieve. In as much as he didn't achieve, it wasn't a perfect, but we could still look back and said we had a better government than what we are having today.
Well, thank you so much. That's the much we can take on the topic today. Sincerely speaking, I would have loved this topic to go on and on. Probably we'll have tea breaks and come back and continue. But it's not to be. Maybe some other time we'll definitely get to talk about it and get maybe somebody from the federal government to come and throw his weight to what we're talking, because this issue affects us all. It affects us today, tomorrow, and in future. Well, in the future, in the studio today, I have been honored to have the guest, Comrade Kingsley Ubaoji, who is the ASU chairperson, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Thank you for being here to talk in on this issue.
Our beloved students, we truly love you.
And also with me in the studio is Dr. Comrade Amakra Metu, HOD Economics, and then the financial sec of ASU, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Government, please do the right thing. ASU is not asking too much. Those who are saying, why strike? Please give us an alternative to strike, and we're ready to do that. Thank you very much for having us.
You're welcome. Alternative to strike is government being responsible to their responsibility. And that's how I call it a day today. My name is Ajuluchuku Okabwe. Wishing you all a lovely weekend. Bye for now.
Thank you.